The same girl will go near a boy, and because you didn't say what exactly happens, she will go near a boy, alafu aone hakuna kitu imefanyika. If any parent can just realize how precious their counsel is to their children, they can keep on talking to them. I always see it unwise when other parents, they brand it like demonic. Those social media, you are not supposed to go there. The devil is usually there. No devil stays at social media. Buy everything that you want.
Yes.
When you have let money do the parenting for you, then you are destroying your child. If he sets a lot of money to the child in terms of mimi nakupenda, but love cannot be substituted with money. So these guys who always say that but I'm able, I can afford. It is because they can't afford time.
When is the right time to speak to our children about sex in terms of age?
I think when a child is approaching, then there are also these parents who want their children to be an extension of them. Like I wanted to be a doctor, and time was not on my side, so my daughter has to be a doctor. We should always remember that our children are not our extension.
You're watching High Step TV.
Are you married? Or you're dating? Do you even have plans of ever getting married? Or you are single by choice? Join me, Helen Kibali, on The Bond Show on YouTube channel High Step TV as we dive deep into matters relationships, marriage, and parenting, and how these bonds affect our relationship with God. Let us learn together on ways we can improve and build strong, healthy relationships in the right foundation.
The Bond Show. Beautiful people, godly bonds.
Modern society believes in both the man and the woman working to support the family, meaning they have limited time with their children. What is the outcome? Very confident children who are self-aware, or children who are neglected and under-parented. How do we navigate through the boat of parenting? Welcome on The Bond Show. I am your host, Helen Kibali. And on set today, we have an amazing guest. She is a mother, a full-time professional, and a psychologist. I will let her introduce herself to you. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you. Thank you also for having me in this show.
Yes.
My name is Truphena Wakaba, but publicly known as Auntie Truphena.
Okay.
Auntie Truphena, I got the name from the Nation newspaper. There is a counseling column I write called Dear Auntie Truphena. So that is where I got the name Auntie. Because Auntie is more friendly.
Yes.
So hence now the name, it can be related directly with a counselor.
Yes.
So I'm also the counseling psychologist at NIPS Technical College, where I'm the counselor for students, for staff, and also for the parents who have issues. Then I also go to churches, to schools, and conferences, all that. So my work day in, day out is counseling. Like I don't know any other thing apart from counseling.
Yes. And I must say you are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
I'm one of your top fans, especially on that column, Nation. The way you answer people's questions, the way you advise them, I've been helped. So thank you so much for being on the show, and we appreciate you, and we acknowledge that you give us your time. We appreciate that so much. And today, of course, we've had guests on the show that have addressed the issue of parenting. And one thing that stood out when they were here is modern parenting, where both parents are professionals and they have very limited time to be with their kids. So most children are in suffering, but they cannot say it. How do this suffering manifest? When they start acting up when they become teenagers, when they become adults, the millennials right now who are parents, and they're acting up. They are not outgrowing the childhood. They are not becoming adults. They are not fully, their body and their ears, inasema they are adults, but their behavior, their social networking is not as an adult. So we are excited and elated to have you help us know and understand how we can navigate through all these things so that we be responsible and good parents to our kids. So I would wish to know what is your take? What is the difference between the modern parenting and the old traditional parenting? What is the difference between the two?
Okay, the traditional parenting, the parent and the child were together like full time, because traditional parenting is when people were parented in rural areas. So the father, the parents could have gone. It's only in the Shabbat, then in the evening he or she comes back, and you see, tilling the land was not full time. Then the children also did it with their parents. So the parenting was intact. Like a child could spend a whole day watching his mother, father doing something. Like there was intact relationship. Modern parenting is a bit different, especially with the coming of boarding schools, whereby the child can stay even for 3 months without seeing the parent.
True.
And even after those 3 months, the children are taken maybe to tuition, to camps. So a whole year can pass without having that strong bond. Then we are also having working parents who are working. They are waking up very early and then they are coming late. So even the day school children, they still do not have enough time with their parents. So that is the major difference, that there is no touch between children and their parents.
Okay. Now, knowing the difference between the two, what is the new modern way of parenting?
The new way that is that I can say it's ideal parenting, it should be looking for the time to be with your child, because this is your child. Whether we have changed the times, whether we are in times whereby the life and economy can't allow us to have time with our children full time, it is the responsibility for every parent to look for time. Because if we will let life follow its course, like I'm working, he's in boarding, I can't see my child, then that is why we are raising up like broiler kids, like kids who do not really know life is. Then we also realize that many parents, they are strangers to their children. From where I sit, many teenagers and young adults, they normally disclose to me so much, and then you'll hear them telling me, and my parents do not know. A child could have started taking drugs like right from primary and now in university level, and the parent doesn't know. A child could be so mysterious and the child doesn't know. And when I involve the parents actually deny. They always say my child is straight, hawezi fanya kitu kama hiyo. So that one also means that parents have become strangers to their parent. So whether you are having work as a parent, whether the economy is bad or good, or whether life is pushing us to the corner, it is responsibility for every parent to look time for our children. Yeah.
All right. During the previous session that I had with another counselor, we went through statistics and we saw that as compared to earlier parents, the traditional parents, compared to modern parenting, the current parents are making a bit more time with their kids and allowing them so much in terms of saying, I will give you this because I did not get this as I grew up. So they end up giving their kids a lot, more than what is necessary. As a counselor or a psychologist, you've interacted with kids who have been spoiled. Some are neglected, some are not, they're given just the basics. They don't have the luxury of, say, a tablet, a laptop, all those things. What have you seen as negative traits in the kids that have been spoiled, pampered with gifts and things and time, as compared to kids that are just getting the basics?
Okay, every parent should know that when you give your child everything that he wants, everything, then you are teaching that child that in this world we only receive, we never give. Then you are also teaching that child that in this world things are for free. Then I don't like that notion that the parents have, that I won't parent you the way I was brought up. Probably the way you were brought up, that is what made you who you are. That is probably why you are strong the way you are, why you are you have life shock absorbers the way you are. We cannot accommodate our children so much in the name of I don't want to bring you up the way I was brought up, because that is equally wrong. What I always say is that you should not bring up your child the way you are brought up in terms of basic needs. For example, if you went to school without shoes, then do not take your child without shoes the way you went. Because at least you need your child, we need to give our children better life that we got.
True.
If, for example, the basic needs in terms of food, better schools, better houses, better sanitation, those are the basic. That is what you are supposed to give your child better than what you got. But when we generalize it in terms of you are so accommodating to your child, you are giving everything that your child wants, then these children, when they will go to university and employment level, they won't be able to live because they have never been left to live. The child is being told, yes, give me this, yes, give me everything, yes. So when they will go out, there is a way the life will tell them no. So they won't accept no as an answer, because these guys, you have already taught them that yes should be the only answer because of you are so much accommodating. So it is a call for every parent to make sure that you do not accommodate your child. What I would say and what I tell parents is, can you give your child what he needs, but not what he wants? Yeah.
All right. And how do we balance that?
We can balance because we know what the wants, and the wants are not the needs. There are so many things, Lynn, you can want in this world, but it is not what you really need. So we give our parents, our children, what they want. Let me tell you, if for example it is in the case of a birthday, your child might demand so much, and then as a parent, you will see your mother going to Chamas, borrowing money so that he can buy a tablet or an iPhone for the kid, because that is what the kid wants. But that is not what that kid needs.
Yes.
So every parent knows the difference between wants and needs. You just need to put a boundary. And when you put that, you'll make that child develop mentality that in this world there is what I need and what I want. Yeah, so it purely comes from the parent, because a child can want anything, but it is for you as a parent to know exactly what he needs, all he needs, other than what he wants.
Auntie Truphena, I am financially able and very stable. And my child has come to me that he wants something, say an iPhone. and I know this is not a need, it's a want. I really want to give this iPhone to this child because I am able to give it to him, and but I want to teach him patience and also working for something. How do I navigate? How do I balance that? That I want to give him, yes, but I want him to get a lesson from it, not just getting it right away. How would you advise a parent who is in that stigma or situation on what they can do?
Okay, you see, whether you have money or not, we are all parents, and they are if you just give your child everything that he wants simply because you are having money, then you'll get the consequences. I have seen parents, a student is in the college, and that student, already the parent has given him a car. He has built him a house, like 1-bedroom house. Then he is telling the same child, go to school and learn and have a better life. Which better life? Which better life? Because in our case, we went to school to have better lives. Either to have better houses, which you have provided for your child already, to maybe to have cars, which you have bought for your child. So what I would say is that we should delay that gratification. Whether you have money or not, can you let your child face the normal phases of life? Because if he or she jumps one phase, psychologically he will be destroyed in the future. Keep your money, because you are not supposed to use your money so that you can parent badly your child. Keep your money, and then you'll give that child later, because either way money cannot be a substitute to better parenting. If you have realized these parents who always use money in parenting, these are parents who are never there.
Absentees.
These are parents who on Saturday they go for road trips. When they go for road trips, they leave their children with 2,000, 1,000. You just buy what you want, yeah? Mom, kababas, do what? you buy everything that you want.
Yes.
When you have let money do the parenting for you, then you are destroying your child. What I have seen from experience from the parents and from the counseling room is the parents who are very present in parenting, they don't do it with money. Because a child really doesn't need your money. They need your closeness, your love, your kindness. But for that parent who is not there, who is in America, he sets a lot of money to the child in terms of mimi nakupenda. But love cannot be substituted with money. They are totally different things. So these guys who always say that I'm able, I can afford, it is because they can't afford time. So they can afford the money. And they are, even in the counseling office, you will hear them say, but you are telling me to give, not to give, but I can afford. Then I ask them, when was the last time you went out with your child? They cannot even remember. They always say, but I give him whatever he wants. Then I tell them, you don't give them whatever they need. You give them whatever you think they need. And that is money. I want you to be present in your child's life. Yeah.
In modern day parenting and living, yes, you find that most of these children, most of these kids, are very outspoken. They're not afraid to speak their mind. They're not afraid to say what they're feeling, to express themselves. And we encourage them more. Unlike us, we would bottle up emotions and what we think we could not speak out. But we are encouraging our kids nowadays to speak out and say their emotions. How do we balance between giving them that freedom of expressing themselves and speaking their emotions and being independent, and balance it with good morals? Because they might speak out, and whatever they are speaking out it's not morally right. So how do we balance between giving them that freedom and also teaching them moral values?
You know, every time where there is a right parenting, we are encouraging the children to talk, because we also had the current generation, the current parents. These are parents who are told not to talk, and actually they never had time to express themselves, especially now like the sexual topics. So you are getting that now the current generation, we are having very many problems in marriages and many problems in parenting, because that generation, it never talked. So we want now to start bringing up a generation of talking. I personally encourage them to talk. But when you tell them to talk, we always tell them to talk about their issues. We don't want them to be like their parents who never talked and who are ending up in suicide, depression, stress and everything. So we always tell them to talk about what is disturbing them, not anything vulgar, not anything that is not acceptable, but talk. And you'll see them talking. So that one means in years to come, the generation that we are parenting, it might be better than the previous one. Yeah.
And talking about sex, as you've mentioned, when is the right time to speak to our children about sex in terms of age?
I think when a child is approaching teenage, that is the time you can tell them, because teenage is the most difficult stage, because this is a stage where the child is moving from childhood to adulthood. It is also a very challenging times, because it comes also with puberty, it comes with sexual desires and everything. And that is now the time the parents should be closer. That it is okay to feel what you are feeling, it is okay to be attracted to a boy, but you need self-control because of what is ahead of you in terms of education, in terms of career. But we shouldn't demonize the sexual topics, because they are very, very important. We should also be with our children as they go the teenage phase, that it is okay even to feel shy when you are in the presence of a boy, because you are a girl, you are the opposite sex. So when we actualize their feelings, and when we make them aware that whatever they are feeling is normal, now we'll have one, other than telling them, do not go near a boy. But we haven't told them, why should I not be near a boy? The same girl will go near a boy, and because you didn't say what exactly happens, she will go near a boy, alafu aone hakuna kitu imefanyika, because you went like the other way. So tell your child that it is fine to interact with the opposite sex, but don't go to an extent whereby he or she will become a special person in your life. And you should also not have sex because of this and this. But you shouldn't tell them the way we are told, that you should not start together with an opposite sex.
You will get pregnant.
You will get pregnant, as if it is like now.
Airborne.
Yeah, like airborne. So I think that is where we are saying that our generation needs to be transparent. Tell them the real thing. Do not use parables. And if you do not tell your children the real thing, they will still know it, but in the wrong way. Because these are the children who will still watch pornography. They will go there, they will be taught by other adults who are immoral about what you yourself you've done. Another thing, when you are talking to a child, the voice of a parent, it's very original. It never evaporates from your child. Even when they are old, that video still plays in their mind. So if any parent can just realize how precious their counsel is to their children, they can keep on talking to them. And probably that is why maybe you remember what your mother used to say most, and her phrases, your dad's phrases and all that. So talking to a child is more precious than any money.
All right. modern parenting has one major challenge, and that is exposure of our kids to social media. And of course, everything has gone digital, and they are very exposed. They are exposed to materials and things, as you've said, even pornography, that we were not exposed, or earlier parents were not exposed to. And with that, we have sexual predators, and we have people who are preying on them. At the same time, we've seen in news and around us where children are defiled, some are sexually assaulted, and the people that are doing that are very close people to them. Not even on social media, but people who call themselves family, uncles, fathers, brothers, sisters. How do we protect our kids from an early age about awareness, and create awareness for them that your immediate parent or guardian can be a predator?
Okay, so let me start with social media. That many parents, they refuse to buy, they refuse their child access social media. I'm not saying that every child should have a phone, but I'm saying instead of resisting, what I have seen is if you have a young adult and you haven't bought, you are refusing to buy him or her a phone, they get.
Yes.
They get, by all means they get. I have seen parents who just discovered that their young adults, they are having phones. So what I would say, I would advise that you sit down with your child. You tell him about social media, the holes that are there, the dangers that are there, so that when a child is navigating with or without your permission, he or she will be safe. But when you keep quiet entirely, and then you say, my daughter will never access a phone, you are not helping. Because what you have done, you have just shut him or her on for now. It is so temporal, as in it is not permanent. But when you go and you tell your child, this is how social media works, but this is the wrong direction, and this is the other wrong direction, but also how wrong is that? You know, information is power. When you tell your young adult that those people who come through the messenger on Facebook, they are not usually genuine. There are so many things, because when you are on Facebook, on Twitter, you are exposing yourself to the world that you yourself you do not know. But I wouldn't, I always see it unwise when other parents, they brand it like demonic. Those social media, you are not supposed to go there. The devil is usually there. No devil stays at social media. Either way, the social media is very, 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 very important. So it is always very good for us always to make sure that we have told the truth. We have given them the information, because information is power.
So about the predators that are in the family.
Okay, the predators are in the families. Tell your child that because if we see the case of girls, they are defiled by their uncles. Boys, they are actually defiled by the same men, because these days no gender is safe.
Or even house girls.
And even house girls. So I think it is very important to take your child through the sexual topics. That when you are called by a certain uncle or a certain auntie in a closed room, then he tells you he starts touching you, then that is the high time you should know that you are just about to be abused. When they tell you that you are not supposed to say they will kill you, please know they will not kill you even when you have disclosed. So the best thing is to let us know. But you realize there is also another wall that the parents have put. Either they are also fearing that a child cannot feel so well. I was talking to another client who was defiled by his real father. And when I was asking her, why didn't you disclose she was in high school? She was telling me, my mom couldn't believe me. Because either way she wanted the marriage to work, then she could have accused me like dressing badly and everything. So she's going through trauma. Now she's an adult, but she has never moved on, even an inch. You see? So if the mother was closer to the girl, she could have moved it. If the mother asked the girl, she could have said. And if the mother kept herself ready, you know, there is a way you keep ready for any discussion. Like, I'm ready, you tell me your worries. But there are also parents who keep off. I have so much to do.
Wow. And you know, having people in the house that can be predators to your children, and having them, having your children fear you, that they cannot come to you and disclose things that are happening to them, or they have been assaulted and they cannot come to you as a parent to complain or even to report to you. That must be very devastating. Have you come across such in your experience as a professional psychologist or counselor? Have you come across people who have been abused, but then feel like they have no one to run to, even if not a parent, a guardian or a friend?
The first one is the one that I have told you. She's now an adult, but she was telling me she cannot get married to a man because men are predators. Then I also have as young as a teenager who was defiled, but the mother works abroad. Then they stay with the grandmother. The grandmother has high blood pressure. Then the grandfather had an accident. So the house is full of problems. So she told me I cannot tell my grandmother because my grandmother is going through high blood pressure, and the doctor said she is not supposed to be told shocking news. My grandfather is already depressed because he is on a wheelchair. Then I couldn't tell my mom because my mom is busy looking for fees for us, and if I would have told her, I could have stressed her. So the girl was suicidal. Actually, she tried to commit suicide, but she was rescued. So when she was rescued, she was taken to my office for counseling. So these things are here. They are there. They are real, and the families, the members of the families also, they also have a way of, because I also remember another girl who was raped by an uncle who was very rich. He has just come from abroad. And when they took the matter to the police, the other family members were like, we unatusubua, you know, because the uncle had money. The aunties were asking her, "Urupo umedress aje?" And this girl was met in the middle of the night by a man. How could she have dressed badly or anything? Either way, whether she was dressed badly or anything, that's rape. No action should justify that. And the case went, and the mother was shut down, especially during get-togethers, that you are the one who is causing a lot of disturbances through your daughter. Why can't you tell your daughter to keep quiet? Either way, she was not even pregnant. Nothing happened. Just that. And the girl felt shortchanged, and she felt shut up. Yeah. So, that is how it actually ended. But we went through counseling, and the girl is healed.
We want all the best for our kids, and we have expectations for them. We expect them to behave well, we expect them to perform well in school, we expect very good results. But there are parents who are extremely expectant with a lot of expectations. How do we balance our expectations for our children, also putting in mind that we don't want to be unrealistic. Manage our expectations, but not be unrealistic.
Every parent should manage their expectations. Then there are also these parents who want their children to be an extension of them. Like I wanted to be a doctor, and time was not on my side, so my daughter has to be a doctor. We should always remember that our children are not our extension. They have unique gifts.
They are not us.
They are not us,
We are
and they shouldn't
created
be us. Whether they are our children. So when the children are growing, can you let them be? Can you let them grow in a unique way? In terms of you give them what they need, but you also give them space to grow. That is very, very important.
Let them explore and be themselves around their environment. All right. Being unrealistic in terms of I am a doctor, I want my child to study medicine. I am a lawyer, I want my son to venture into law. What of when a child comes to you and you have this high profession, whatever we term as very good profession, and they come to you and they say, I want to be a poet. At our time and age, and of course being African as we are, we don't see value in poetry. What would you advise that child or that teenage boy or girl who wants to venture into something that modern society, even us as African, are against that?
So what you can do, as I said, our children are unique in their own way, so we should let them have uniqueness. The moment you tell your child to do hotel management, because there is an uncle who owns a hotel, and you want your child to go and have employment there, you have messed your child's future. If a child wants to be a poet or an artist or a DJ, let them be. Because that is where their destiny is. Because you are not the destiny of your child. Everyone was created with his or her own destiny. So let your child be. The earlier you let them be, the better. We have seen people in football, running and everything. It's only that because their parents give them an opportunity. Whether it looks like it is weird or not, if it is a real uniqueness of your child, please give him or her a chance. That is really important. Yeah.
All right. We've seen current issues where people are suffering anxiety, depression, and sometimes suicide. And most young people have committed suicide. According to statistics, compared to the 5 or 10 years ago, it has gone up by about 20 to 25%. As parents, when our kids come to us for advice, they are depressed or they have anxiety, how do we siphon between overreacting and underreacting? We might overreact and turns out it was not as bad. We might underreact, turns out it was a big thing, they have committed suicide. How do we know how to navigate between the two, balancing both?
So it starts with being afraid to your child. And whenever your child is hearing his or her concern, it is very important not to belittle them. Like when a child tells you, there is a girl in class who always tells me that I'm ugly, the parents should not put that child down. Like, kwani hiyo ni kitu ya kupushtua. No, don't belittle the concerns of the child. If it matters to them, then it should matter to you. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. Finally, as we close up, Any final words for parents and teenagers who are watching you?
I can only say that every parent, it is your responsibility to bring up your children, and it is mandatory to have time with them. However much your work or anything should be, our children should come first. Then for teenagers, I want to tell them there is a world, you are in your own world, but your parent should be the first model. When your parent is telling you something, he or she is not telling you something to limit your world. When you grow up, you realize how wise your parent was. Then the world is so diverse. It's a world of drugs. It's a world of peer pressure. It's a world of so many bad things. But you can go through them, not really getting inside yourself in them, and you become a winner. Because everyone went through that. We went through in the world of drugs. We refused to take them. We went into the world of bad relationships. We refused to engage them. So self-awareness and self-love, it's the key to all that.
If someone wanted to reach you, how would they reach you?
I am in social media. I'm very active as Truphena, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. I'm Truphena. So if they reach me through that, they're better.
Okay. Thank you, Sana, for being on the show. We appreciate you and we appreciate your time. And parents out there, don't you ever doubt that you are doing an amazing job. You are doing a good job. So support your kids, support their dreams, even when you're not sure how they'll end up. Support them, assure them of your love, assure them that you'll always be there for them and that you believe in them. Offer them wisdom. Be a positive influence and presence in their life. And above all, pray for them, pray over them, and pray with them. Because you can always be sure that God will take care of them. Until next time, I wish you all the best. God bless you.
This is High Step Media Production.
Je, wewe ni msanii na ungependa kuchukua hatua kabambe katika kuboresha usanii wako? Je, wewe ni msanii mpya usiyejua utaanza vipi katika kufanikisha usanii wako? Je, wahitaji kufanyiwa video za harusi, matukio, dokumentari, au pia kutengenezewa filamu na kupigwa picha? High Step Media ina majibu kwa masuala haya yote kwa bei rahisi. Tutembelee pale Homeland au wasiliana nasi kwa njia ya simu kupitia nambari 0706299166. Karibu.
Kazi yao wanafanya ni kazi nzuri sana. Nimefurahia sana kazi ambao wanafanya.
Come High Step Media Production. You never know, you can be a star of tomorrow.
Step Media, kwanza wana upendo, ni wakarimu sana. Na kama ni wakarimu ndio maana tumefika hapa tumefika. High Step Media.